I wanted to do a video on what Olympic lifters, powerlifters, bodybuilders do when they approach 50, 60 years old. How do they maintain their muscle mass? How do they keep their weight up? How do they maintain their strength? Well, it's kind of new territory for mostly because they haven't reached this age yet. This generation is just now reaching the 50s and the 60s, and so what are these guys doing? Well, there aren't too many of them. What you find on the internet are just videos about or articles about what people do, the average person does. It talks about, if you're 80 years old, you've got about 50% of what you had strength-wise when you were 30. And these are people who never worked out before, and they want these people to start working out at 80 years old when they've had a sedentary lifestyle. It's a little late, isn't it? I mean, come on. I know it will help them some, but it's just, you've got to do this from teenage to death. If you can, if you don't have a disease or you haven't had an accident, it's got to become a lifestyle. Okay, so let's talk about what we as professional lifters are to do now to maintain our body weight, our muscle mass, and our strength. Now, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to keep up the weight. You've got to stay at 80+% as far as your training, your poundages. You don't want to give up 10 pounds a year, 20 pounds a year because I'm getting older. I'm lifting the same weight I did when I was 30 years old, Just because I never took time off except for a vacation, which maybe lasted a maximum of 10 days. I haven't taken 2 years off here, 3 years off there. Never. Consistency is the key. And you don't want to back off when you get older either. Now, if you've got joint trouble, there are things called doctors out there. And there are informed doctors, and there are, what most of them are, is uninformed doctors. But an informed doctor has heard of decadurabolin. Decadurabolin is a steroid. It's been around forever, okay? But it's used for a reason. It stores water in the connective tissues, and this protects your joints, and you can train again if you've got bad joints. It's not, the steroids aren't bad. It's that liberal media pumping misinformation out. It all started with when these steroids were patented. The companies were trying to protect their patents. That's why they put all this information out about steroids will cause cancer and steroids will kill you. They're made for a reason. Case in point, decadurabolin's given to AIDS patients because what does it do? It boosts the immune system. Does that sound like something that can hurt you? You're probably thinking to yourself that, well, he's talked about decadurabolin. Is he going to talk about TRT or HRT, testosterone replacement therapy, or hormone replacement therapy? Yes, that's the next thing I want to talk about. This is the newly accepted protocol for older men who have not the testosterone or the growth hormone production that they once had. That's why you get old and you get sick. It causes heart disease. It causes all kinds of problems. It causes mental fog. I can go on and on and on about low testosterone. You're infertile. You're tired all the time. But it does lead to disease. Testosterone does not cause cancer. Steroids don't cause cancer and kill you. Okay? They're made for a reason. They're made for human consumption. And when you're 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, you need more testosterone. So go to a doctor. There are businesses out there that specialize in hormone replacement therapy. There are doctors that will do it, and there are plenty of doctors that don't want any part of it. They're still living in the 70s when all that misinformation was out there. When you read in the medical journals that, steroids don't increase your strength. Now, why do you think that was in there? Because we know it increases your strength, right? They didn't want people using steroids. They were patented. They were trying to protect their patent. It's all about money, okay? Now, I personally found that by drinking coffee 3, 4, 5 cups a day, whatever, that I got very acidic and I felt like I had just a tremendous rheumatoid arthritis. I couldn't move. I couldn't squat. I couldn't bend over to deadlift. And I stopped drinking the coffee. and that went away almost immediately, within about a week. Okay, so we know that it does increase acidity, and that does lead to cancer. If you become less alkaline and more acidic, that's when your body starts to grow that cancer. Now, one thing I do for strength is I take my creatinine every day, even if I'm on vacation. 5 grams in the morning, 5 grams at night. I make sure it's a good quality creatinine. I use the German Creapure. It's the purest creatinine out there. You got to be careful. Like I said, China's dumping a bunch of cheap creatinine on the market. It's junk. It doesn't work. You're just throwing your money away. So be very careful about that. There are a lot of different brands that use Creapure in their product. You just turn the bottle around and look at the bottom. You see a little Creapure label, very tiny. Then you're okay. Optimum Nutrition is one good source of Creapure. Now, why do I use it? Because it fills the muscle cells with water and gives you that muscle torque. It increases your strength. It puts body weight on you, okay? That's not bloating. They try to say that's bloating, but that's why it works. That's how it works, and that's why we use it. Muscle torque, not bloating. That is a marketing scam to get you to buy other types of creatinine, because creatine monohydrate became so manufactured in such large quantities that the price got cheaper and cheaper, and it was harder for them to make a big markup on it. But they can make a big markup on these other types of creatinine. Again, it's a scam industry, so you've got to educate yourself to be successful. Now, a big issue, a big problem with older folks is they get dehydrated. Okay, they don't take in enough fluids. They drink too much coffee. It's a diuretic. And so what I do to make sure I am hydrated is, even though it's got a lot of sugar in it, you can dilute it. It's called Gatorade. Everybody's heard of Gatorade. But it's got potassium and sodium in there, your electrolytes, and I keep those in my body. I've got a bottle next to my bed. I sip it every time I get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And I don't have the leg cramps anymore because I'm getting plenty of water, potassium, and sodium from my Gatorade, and that also helps, with my creatinine, my muscle torque. It allows that creatinine to take in more water. Okay, so you've got to stay hydrated to maintain your body weight and strength when you get older. Another critical component of maintaining muscle mass and strength when you get older is diet. Now, what you don't want to do is get busy and distracted and say, oh, I'm starving to death, I've got to get something to eat. That's called catabolism, and it's too late. Your body's started to eat on itself. You want to have a regimented nutrition program. You eat at certain times of day, whether you're starving or not. You don't ever want to be starving. But you've got to have that planned out. You want to stick to that schedule to maximize your muscle mass. Muscle's got to be fed or you're going to lose it. The last thing I want to talk about is with regard to nutrition again, and it has to do with the egg. People get older and they think they have to cut back on eggs or not eat eggs at all, eat egg beaters or something that's really bad for you, okay, because they're afraid of cholesterol. They think it's going to cause heart disease. That is misinformation. That information was put out by cereal companies, I think back in the 50s, because people were eating traditional breakfasts, most people, and they were trying to gain market share. It's always about the buck. Now, Vince Gironda, who passed away back in 1997, was so far ahead of his time. He knew German scientists that would give him information, and he did so much research too that he always said, your LDL is manufactured within your body. Your body manufactures it, and the more you ingest, the less your body manufactures. The less you ingest, the more your body manufactures. Your body regulates LDL. You're not going to get a lot of LDL from eggs. We have a mechanism to protect us. And also remember, there are two components to an egg, right? The white and the yolk. The white contains protein, the yolk contains fat. You cannot digest protein without fat. It's a perfect food. So don't be afraid of eggs.